This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 1178 of Horse Tip Daily, your almost everyday morsel of helpful, entertaining horsey facts, theories, and advice. Brought to you today by Bimeda Equine. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. On today's tip, Hillary Moore-Hebert from Dressage Today magazine joins Dressage radio show co-hosts Reese and Phillip with some fun and easy position awareness exercises for riders. And we'll get right to today's tip right after this from Bimeda Equine.
We all know the importance of deworming our horses, and Dr. Ellefson of Bimeda Equine is helping us make sure we are doing it right. Listen for his 4-part series the first week of every month on this very show. I just wanted to remind everyone, if you are due for deworming, why not save a few bucks on the popular Bimeda line of wormers, including Equimax, Bimectin, Exodus, Exodus Multidose, and Equil. You can find coupons and special offers at BimedaEquine.com, including a variety of rebate offers from cash to free ivermectin. You can also get up to $2 a dose back for Equimax. And while you're at Bimeda Equine, get your free horse health record keeper, and you can just download it there. Plus, learn a bunch about parasites and deworming at Bimeda, that's Bimeda, equine.com. We at the Horse Radio Network all use Bimeda dewormers because we want the best for our horses, and we know you want the best for yours too. BimedaEquine.com, and tell them the Horse Radio Network sent you.
Hillary Moore-Hebert, the contributing editor from Dressage Today, is on. So, Hillary, what's our next tip of the month?
Okay, so on to things related to the rider. I thought that these two combine very nicely. It's two tips for the rider. The first being from Suzanne Bundietz, and she talks about how she had an instructor talk about that when she was doing the collected movements, she should ride like she was growing the bones in her legs, and in half halts that she should turn her heels slightly out and spread her little toe a bit sideways in her boot, and that would help so that the tiny movements that she did when she was doing the collected movement in the half halt would make it so that she was really connected with her pelvis, and that helped with her core stability. I thought that was interesting because I think a lot of times we think about what you shouldn't be doing with your lower leg and kind of how to fix it. And I thought that this was an interesting thing to do. I kind of sat on a stool and did that, where I just tilted my heel in just a touch and just spread my, toes out to see what happened. And it just was an interesting feeling that I'm not sure how to recreate it without doing that. So I thought it was a neat exercise and a neat way to think about things.
I think it's important, when you're doing your half halts, I think a lot of people do it in probably a bit too much tension, and then they're really, pushing themselves out of the saddle. I think this is a good way of, you got to remember you've got to sit deeper to make the half halt so the horse feels your weight, into their back and onto their hind legs instead of, getting perched out of it and really maybe squeezing a little bit too much with your leg and turning your heel in and all these things that are not going to help with really, sitting very steadily in the tack and doing a correct half halt. So, it's a good little tip for thinking about, how you're going to ride your pelvis a little bit more and your core into the half halts. That's a good idea.
It's a good idea. It's good to. I'm sitting here trying to do it. It's actually. I always do that when you give us our position tips, and I'm like trying to do it. And you're right. It really does change it. So try it as you're sitting here because it will change your. Especially as you open your little toe. So I like it.
Yeah, like you can't get your knee locked.
Yeah. Huh.
I think back to how I used to grip. I think a lot of us who started out doing jumping, I remember doing little tests where we would take a dollar bill and put it between our knee and the saddle. Or actually, I did a Jimmy Wofford clinic where I had to jump this cross trail on the side of a hill out on cross country at Ledyard. He made me put my gloves between my knee and the saddle, and I had to get off and get them, and I dropped them like 20 times, I think, but it made it so I think for about 10 years afterwards, I had these nightmares where, I would not let my knee leave the saddle, but it's hard to break that habit, especially if you've been taught to grip with your knees for other reasons.
Very
Yeah,
good.
it's one of those things that, I think I remember learning to do that as well. When you start out and then you spend the rest of your life learning not to do it, that's
Yeah.
tricky.
Yeah.
I love that dollar bill under the butt. That was I like that. I could win that one all the time.
Well, in Canada, we don't have dollar bills, so you make more money that way.
Gotta go
with fives, right?
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah. But you get the gist.
And that about takes care of it. You can find links to today's guests at horsetipdaily.com. And don't forget, you can have all of your favorite Horse Radio Network shows with you wherever you go by downloading the free Horse Radio Network app for iPhone or Android. Just go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network, or you can subscribe via iTunes. This podcast was made possible through the generous support of Bimeda Equine and listeners like you. Learn how you can help support Horse Radio Network programming and qualify for auditors-only perks by going to horsetipdaily.com and clicking on the Become an Auditor banner in the center of the page. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.